Content and Language Integrated Learning, or CLIL for short, is absolutely stunning, and given a choice to ignore this all-around and all-pervasive demon of balance, as well as the adult language learning peculiarities, I'd go only for CLIL. Learning the language through the content becomes more meaningful. It always gets the students bring to the classroom their real language, this so-called emerging language. It boosts the motivation dramatically since you solve specific problems in the here and now mode, and it in its turn is absolutely vital for adult learners. Although the term CLIL is modern, the concept is as old as the world. When you learn about something else like science, engineering, art, cooking in a foreign language, you are using CLIL, even if you don't realize it. The approach became more formalized in the 1960s, and since then it's been widely respected worldwide, especially within the field of bilingual education. And even in Russia, some kids learn science, history, literature in English in some private kindergartens, schools, and lyceums. As students learn subjects in a language which is not their mother tongue, they form links in their minds between their native language, the target or the foreign language, and the content. And this kind of fosters better metalinguistic skills, the ability to reflect on both languages and the concept under study and the way how they correlate with each other. We learn how languages work in general, and I always tell my students that any language is a code system. And it's common knowledge that a foreign language makes you better in your native language. Each language is well studied through the lens of the other. Obviously, students in CLIL programs are more motivated to learn the target language through interesting content and real-life application. When you learn a content subject such as science or history alongside a language, the engagement improves a lot since students aren't learning the language as such. Its functional tools and pragmatic value can be seen in real-life context when you learn to communicate and discover things. And as a rule, students naturally enjoy the process and they are intrinsically motivated to acquire the language faster, better, and more effectively. Among the benefits, it's popular to highlight that CLIL approach improves social and critical thinking skills since students are able to engage in discussions and debates on various aspects, and this way they enhance their understanding of the lesson concepts themselves, as well as their linguistic, analytical, and communication skills. And it's also worth mentioning that students in CLIL programs often achieve higher academic results in both language and content subjects compared to those in traditional ESL programs. And in this long-term higher academic achievement might be down to the benefits often associated with bilingualism and its increased mental flexibility. Traditional CLIL, it's when kids study school subjects such as history, maths, physics, geography, art, PE in English, for example, or in any other foreign language. It's often referred to as hard CLIL, but in ELT we apply so-called soft CLIL. It integrates learning the foreign language with learning some content, not a subject as such. In other words, such courses are more language-led rather than subject-led. That's actually the essence, because we need a language course with some exposure to curriculum topics and not vice versa. How does it work? According to our academic plan, we choose a topic to teach, for example, Independence Day, the history of Tchaikovsky, or how to report maintenance and housekeeping issues in a hotel, the recent one, or even aim for a whole module like coping with stress or dealing with conflicts, cooking methods and recipes, health issues and medical treatment, etc. Grammar, vocabulary, and skills tasks are just parts of the lesson and not the focus of the lesson. The lesson content is based around some authenticity, a piece of video, audio, often with a variety of international accents, an article or a publication which introduces relevant vocabulary and functional language which is related to the given topic or a subject like history, biology, for example. And in most cases, it's all about the specific lexis, so it's crucial for a teacher to organize adequately the skills formation stages and the production stage, which is always the most interesting part in the CLIL approach. There is always something juicy in each area of studies to stimulate discussions and to engage students into different types of speaking activities. That's so precious for me as a speaking skills coach, like from interviewing and agreeing, disagreeing, to asking for clarification, presenting. That's public speaking skills, and of course, lots of communicative games and heated arguments. For example, on fashion and style, health advice, bringing up children, politics and religion. Bingo. When you come to think of it, CLIL very much reminds us of ESP, and I'd say this is it exactly. But it deals with business English areas and work-related issues, language for more experienced learners in their professional fields. But in general English, we do refer to the CLIL methodology or an approach, you name it. That's when we kind of integrate the target foreign language into the topic of interest, which is usually not work-related. And I'd say that building your education on authenticity and real-life scenarios, that is a must, in a tight bundle with a communicative approach, makes this integration of the language and the content almost inevitable, and it can happen in many different ways. That depends on the program and the language level of the students. The higher the level is, the more language tools are available and the more CLIL elements we are able to adopt in the educational process. My most beloved programs include modules within the areas of psychology and sociology, and I even have a pet project here. I can't help saying a few words about it, and you'll find the links down below if you want to get to know it better. So, Human to Human is a dedicated project to go into more detail and enhance my own language mastery of the subject, and it always brings some kind of a natural spin to the learning process as we put into practice real-world language, speaking our minds, expressing ourselves, addressing our own interests and kind of cognitive motives. It's also beneficial for you as a teacher. Not only does it give you some potential for deeper learning of the subject, you level up your expertise in the area. You can even get an additional degree here. But it also gives you another perspective of the language you teach. You start concentrating more on its practicalities, you get better at functional language selection, and you also develop more confidence and fluency in the real-life context, which you easily pass to your students. Believe me, your passion, enthusiasm, and competence, they're very contagious. Once you start working with CLIL, there is no turning back. I embrace it to the fullest in my fluency and lexical trainings, and I get the most of it in business classes whenever I can help students with more or less sufficient skills to gain even more language confidence. Unfortunately, the concept of CLIL classes can take an awful lot of time and effort to prepare and carry out, and an adult education for basic levels turns this idea into a dreamy hallucination due to the cognitive and behavioral nuances of the learners and the classroom reality. The question of language difficulty and the necessity to adjust it to, let's say, the needs of a beginner, not out of pure logic but out of compassion, that requires either a teacher's genius or a magician that's more likely to build an entire course on the hard CLIL. So we do apply some elements through simple role-playing in social situations and imaginary communication scenarios, but that's kind of peanuts, and real-life context or a particular subject context is a far cry from this desired adaptation for a language starter in SEV terms or any other measurement. So that makes CLIL ineffective as an approach for adult learners with poor language skills. This category is prescribed with a more holistic approach and a variety of methods and techniques. Apart from that, a language teacher can't make it solely only in a teamwork, ideally cooperating with the subject area teacher, unless you're an expert in the area yourself. And this lack of expertise might limit the scope dramatically, especially for a younger colleague. And if you ask me, I'd recommend you for your teacher's development purposes to take my example. I'm so proud of my H2H project. Choose the area you like or maybe you have aptitudes for and move forward in this direction. That will definitely give you a better feel of the CLIL methodology.